All right. There we go. Yeah, glad to be back and getting ready for the bowl game. Number one, coach has been on the road the last couple of weeks recruiting. They've done a tremendous job, and certainly a big part of what we do in this time of year. But now it's time to get back to focusing on the bowl game, and these guys they've been working out. Our players have been running, lifting, preparing. We've had a few practices over the weekends, an official visit weekend as well. So there's been a lot going on here, and now we can really just concentrate on preparing for Baylor. Excited about this game. This is an awesome opportunity, and having some experience in the Big 12 and playing against Baylor, certainly understand where this program has been, where it is right now, and kind of see what they've done facility-wise, and certainly has made a name for themselves football-wise. And you know, the change they're going through right now with the new head coach, with Matt Rule being named head coach. I've been in that situation before when I was at Arkansas State. You got a team that's playing in a bowl game. You're not coaching in it, so what are you doing? You're evaluating, you're watching, you're in the weight room, you're watching these guys run, you're watching these guys practice, and they certainly will have a sense of urgency when they go out there and play. And so we expect to get Baylor's very best, and we're going to have to bring ours as well. Just a little bit about their team. As we find out, not a common opponent, so we got to dive into what they've done statistically, and you certainly can watch them on TV and see they're explosive on the offensive side. They got average 523 yards, which is 5th nationally. They put a lot of points up. Struggled in a few games, but these guys can score. We know that, and they've got some tremendous players on the offensive side of the ball. KD Cannon, wide receiver, one of the best in the country, and was a first-team All-Big 12, and you just pop on the tape, you can see exactly why. Their running back, Williams, another stud, guy that, and they do run the ball. I think that's the one thing about this offense when you watch it. They do run it, and they run it quite a bit, and they run it effectively. And so we rely on those guys to get that done. The quarterback, who's a freshman, after their other guy was injured, is a very good player, has a lot of stats from high school, and is certainly going to be a guy that is going to be the future of that football team. Defensively, Phil Bennett, he was there when I was at Texas, so I got a chance to play against him, and he's done a tremendous job. And they're 4th in their conference in defense. Got some really good players: KJ Smith, Avion Edwards, and Stewart, their boundary safety. Those guys, they can all play, and we're still trying to get a better idea of who these guys are, watch them a little bit more, and just kind of watch what those one-on-one matchups are going to look like. But those guys stand out, and then special teams-wise, have been solid throughout the season. So coaches right now are preparing, getting their game plan ready. We go back to practice this Thursday. Our guys are in finals this week, and are trying to finish strong, and excited about where guys are right now academically. And so we want these guys to have a strong finish. We'll get back to work, and we'll practice on Thursday and Friday. Graduation, we'll have 13 seniors that'll be graduating on Saturday, so we're going to have that day off. We'll come back on Sunday, practice again, have another practice on Monday, and then let these guys go home for a few days, and we'll meet up at the bowl site on the 23rd. And then we're back into our normal Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And this schedule has been the same for us in the Fiesta Bowl and the same for the Poinsettia Bowl. So we tried to stick to that. Our players actually have one more day off, the way this one kind of fell. Let them go home, have an early Christmas, and then we'll certainly spend our Christmas together with them. But really excited to get to work on Thursday. We've had a few good practices, got a few ideas in, some wrinkles, but really the game plan starts on Thursday, and we'll get that going. So with that, open up for questions.
I want to ask you, we did talk a little bit about playing Baylor and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
And you saw them obviously when you're at Texas. What, in your opinion, makes their offense been so good, and how does it maybe differ from a lot of offenses out there in college football?
It is. I wouldn't say completely, because people have stolen components of what they've done. But first of all, look at the first thing that stands out is speed. They've recruited speed. They have speed players on the offensive side. They're going to put you in a bind by getting you in wide. They take wide splits, wider than normal splits than you see a normal offense run. So you get those one-on-one matchups. and then they're going to run the football. So I think that's one of the things when you take those wide splits, you see guys throwing the ball around, which they will, and then all of a sudden they're running the football and they're doing it effectively. The quarterback will run a little bit in there, but it's very unique, and I think conceptually as you watch it, you can start to see what the plan is, and they do have a different plan each game, so they do game plan. They don't just run the same things over and over, but speed, splits, and the tempo that they play at really stand out, and I think that's why you see how explosive they can be. And then you forget when they're throwing the ball down the field, they hand the ball off, and they got some dudes down there and some O-linemen that can really pound it and be physical in the run game.
With Baylor, I mean, I know that they had quite a bit of momentum going by the time you got into Texas, but about a decade ago it was Texas, Texas A&M, even Texas Tech, and I just guess how impressive is it what they've been able to build there in the state of Texas, where it's hard to compete.
Yeah, well, it's really impressive just being there and kind of getting a glimpse of that history and where Texas was and all that. And then you look at the facilities Baylor's built as well with the new stadium. I didn't get a chance to see it. I've seen drawings of it and all that. Heard nothing but great things. They put themselves in a position where they're competing with Texas, with Oklahoma State, and those schools, and they're winning those ball games. They went out there and they got themselves a really good quarterback, right? And had that back to back. Some speed, which is what they set out to get. It shows up there on the offensive side, and they put a lot of points on the board, so they were able to win those games. And being in that conference and kind of seeing where they were to where they are now, I mean, you just see what they did in recruiting and how that place has put a lot into that football program to go compete with those schools. When you're in Texas and you're trying to compete with Texas, you gotta put up, and you gotta get the guys to do it, and they did that. And moving forward now with Coach Rule, I don't know him. I've heard of him, and obviously he did a great job. So he's going to have to take that program now, and I think he's got some really good players to work with.
You think, Big 12, Baylor, you think spread offense, passing 60 times a game, but you mentioned the running game, and I think they're the only school in the country that has 4 guys averaging 50 yards a game rushing. I mean, what is it about their running game? I think they're 250 yards a game average.
Yeah, they're committed to it. Yeah, if you go back to, when Briles was there, you go back to when he was at Houston, again, they were very creative, and they were throwing the ball around as well off of some play action stuff, but they were very committed to running the football, and I think that's where, in this spread offense, and especially in the Big 12, right? Everybody's throwing it, everything's spread, and then you got a team now that's running it, and Oklahoma does as well. I mean, you still have to run it, but they do a good job of kind of getting you in a position to give them an opportunity to do that, and I think they call it, or had called it, at times when they get down in the red zone, they ran it pretty effectively. So I think it's more of a mindset. You're spread out, you're going to throw it, you're going to get one-on-one matchups, but at the same time, heck, if they're going to widen all the guys out there, you're going to get a really good box to run it, and they seem to have answers when they do that.
They won their first 6 games, looked like one of the better teams in the country, and then lost their next 6. I know obviously you're not inside that locker room and don't know the inner goings of what's going on there, but from a film perspective, did you see anything different from their first games and what they kind of did later?
Yeah, I can't answer that completely. I haven't seen every single game. Certainly, they've had some tough things happen to them, and a lot of it, college football, athletics in general, a lot of it has to do with focus. There's obviously been distractions at Baylor. As far as the players go, I mean, those guys, they're competitive. They played hard. I haven't seen a game, and I've watched some games they lost. I haven't seen a game where you got a team out there that just quits, and they're not out there playing hard. Now, maybe they had some turnovers. They lost the field position battle. All the things that really show up in a real game of why you lose games, that showed up. But as far as the team goes, you don't see a team out there that's just laying down. So early on and where they are now, 2 different seasons, and certainly I think with where they're going and having a coach right now, I believe those kids are focused and they want to go finish the right way. So we're going to have to go play our best game, and we certainly feel the same way. We didn't play our best game in the last one, and our opportunity now is to go have one more, and that's what we get for this senior class and this group moving forward, and we need to go play our best.
Harsin, there was a